I was wrongfully diagnosed as transgender. And before I get into the story, I want to say that, firstly, I am a cisgender female, and secondly, I still 100% support trans people on their journeys to transitioning and finding their identities. So, with that being said, let's get into my very complex story. So, about 2-ish years ago, I started feeling some chest dysphoria. So what I did is I went to a therapist and talked to them about it, and after a lot of talking and thinking in my own mind, I decided, you know what, I think I want chest surgery. So I went with a consultation to 2 separate surgeons, plastic surgeons, to talk about doing chest surgery. First one was an independent person, and the second one was connected with my doctor's office and kind of the company that it runs under. So I went on these 2 separate consultations, and after both consultations, I was second guessing myself. I was doubting if I wanted that or not, because I was thinking, you know what, I don't know if this is worth it. If I really want this, I'm not sure. And I was very much so doubting myself, and I was talking to my friends about it and even my family. And I ended up coming to the conclusion that no, I don't want the surgery. So any sort of appointments that I had for later scheduling was canceled, and I 100% now believe that no, I don't want any chest surgery, and for the most part, all my dysphoria is gone. And I want to talk about this part first before I continue my story. When I started doing this, or like exploring it, I was under the age of 18, so I couldn't just immediately get surgery, basically. So I went through the process of figuring it out, and then I figured out, no, I don't want this. And I figured that out by the time that I was basically almost 18. And right now, I am 18. With that in mind, I just want to briefly talk about kind of dysphoria and the idea behind it and the kind of like discomfort that you feel. And 100%, I know that feeling of feeling discomfort, and especially if you're underage. What I have learned from this kind of experience that you guys know of so far, because I have more to the story, of course, but what I've learned from it is, yes, your feelings can change over time. Obviously, I'm not 100% super comfortable. I'm much better, of course, and I definitely have a different idea of what I want, because before I wanted surgery, now I definitely do not. And I think that, especially if you're younger, but just for anybody really, if you are thinking about getting surgery for something that relates to being transgender or just not feeling comfortable with yourself, you really should spend the time to think about it. Really think about it. Like, for a year, basically. I know that's a really long time and a lot to ask for a lot of people, but I think it's really important to spend a lot of time thinking about what you want to do and why you want to do it, and if this is right for you. And I think like doing consultations or appointments, they're totally fine. And honestly, it was that consultation and that appointment that kind of made it more real to me and made me realize, wait a minute, I don't want this. And a year before that, I was in not a very great place regarding my dysphoria. I literally just like every single day was basically horrible, and I hated it every single day. But a year later, I was a lot better. I was feeling fairly good every single day, and that's how I feel now. And it shows that over time your feelings can change, and that's why it's really important for super big decisions like that. Surgery, basically irreversible. Of course, like you could have surgery to reverse that, but that's again a lot to do and not very easy on your body. So I think it's really important to spend a long time thinking about what you want to do and why you want to do it. And that's not to say that you're not allowed to get surgery. 100%. If it's been like a few months, a year, and you still feel the same way, absolutely do it. Get the consultation and get the appointments and see how you feel after. I know that some doubt or uncertainty can certainly be normal for some people, but the level that I was experiencing, it was really just like, I don't know if this is what I want. And if you do have those feelings, really explore them. It's super important to explore those feelings that you may be having, because you want to figure out why you're having those feelings and what the implications are for doing surgery or not doing the surgery for you. So it's very important to spend a long time thinking about the pros and the cons, what you want, what you don't want, what's going to happen versus what's going to happen if you don't have it. All of that. Spend a lot of time thinking about it. And again, this goes for people that are both underage and people that are over the age of 18. Either way, it's very important to spend a lot of time thinking about it, because you need to make sure you make the right decision, because financially it can be a burden, mentally, etc. So make sure you spend a lot of time thinking about it and be confident that the decision you're choosing is what you want. With that being said, I had all the appointments canceled and everything like that. And a couple months later, I went to the doctor because I was sick. So at the appointment, I basically just got a COVID test, and then I got a recommendation of like some medicines that I should take because I actually had an ear infection. So I was told like some things that I should do to help with the ear infection, and that was basically it. So then we left and I just went home, and a couple days later, I went into like my account for like my doctor stuff, whatever. And I noticed that as I was looking through it, and the reason I had to go into my doctor's website thing, I don't know what to call it, is because I was turning 18. So I had to make like my own account to kind of transfer the information into me instead of my parents. And I realized when I was looking through it, there was something on there that looked very, very wrong. And under the diagnoses tab, I saw transgender, female to male. And I looked at that and I'm just like, excuse me? I was so confused and concerned. There were a lot of thoughts going around in my brain, just like, what? Where did this come from? What happened? And when I went into it, I noticed that it was diagnosed on the date that I went into the doctor's for my ear infection. And keep in mind that at that appointment, we didn't talk about that at all. There was no discussion of anything with like dysphoria, definitely nothing with being transgender, and I'm just so confused. So I end out emailing my doctor, my actual physician, because the physician that took care of me when I had my ear infection was not my primary healthcare doctor. So I emailed my actual doctor, and what they did is they transferred that email to the person that actually checked up on me, and my primary doctor instantly removed that diagnosis from my system, and they were just like, yeah, I don't know why or where this came from, so that's why they also forwarded the email to that other physician. And that other physician, this was their explanation for it. So basically, they saw that I had gone to that one surgeon for like the dysphoria that I was feeling like a few months earlier that was kind of like connected to my doctor's system. They saw that appointment, and I guess they just assumed that because I had the appointment, even though there was no other follow-up appointments or anything like that, they just assumed that I was transgender, and they just put it on my system, which is definitely not great to assume that. And especially in like the system with the diagnosis, it didn't just like come up that day, but it also said that it was discussed at that appointment, and it definitely was not. I was there the whole time and I didn't hear anything about it. It's definitely not great that that happened, and it was definitely confusing for sure, but I'm glad it was all sorted out pretty quickly because my primary care doctor just took care of it really well. Yeah, that's my story. It's very weird and complicated, and I think for sure that that doctor definitely should not have done that. Shouldn't have just put that on my record, especially putting in the doctor's notes or like end of session conclusion saying that we discussed that even though we never did, and then putting that on my diagnosis was not the right thing to do. They definitely, at the very least, should have brought it up and asked, and then that never would have happened. So, am I mad about it? No. I was very confused. Sure, a little bit like upset, but mostly I was just like confused, freaked out, and it definitely solidified the fact that I am not transgender. And I'm not mad at the doctor at all. I think that they definitely could have handled the situation a lot better by just asking. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I don't want you to go away with this thinking that any doctor is just going to wrongfully diagnose people as being transgender or anything like that. This, I believe, was just really a fluke. They thought it, they assumed it because of my chest appointments, but I don't think most doctors would automatically do that. I think a lot of them would just have better communication and at the very least ask you about it, and then it would all be clear from that. So don't go around thinking that people are going to wrongfully diagnose you with being transgender or anything. I just wanted to share my story and just kind of share how it's shaped my perspective and thoughts about things. And I think for the first part, communication is very, very important. Secondly, it has helped me a lot, mostly just my experience with finding out that I don't want to get surgery, that it's very, very important to wait till you get to the surgery for a long time to think about it. And I definitely think that there definitely is a lot of merit in having people under the age of 18 need at least parental consent for the surgery. And I know that can be very hard to hear, and I completely understand because when I was like 17, I was just feeling horrible and I just wanted it right away. But this has definitely taught me that waiting is very, very valuable. It's very important, and don't make snap decisions. It's very important to wait, to think about it, feel how you're feeling, know why you're feeling it, and what you can do to help mitigate those feelings. And if that's a surgery and you're confident about that, then you could totally do it. But yeah, that's kind of what I've learned from this experience. And again, I 100% support trans people on their journeys to transition and just figure out who they are. But yeah, this was just a very odd experience that I had, and I kind of just wanted to share it. This is a little bit of a different video, but I thought it would be kind of interesting for people to hear my experience that was not necessarily very positive, and to see kind of how it might change your perspective. Definitely changed my perspective. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this video helped you at least learn some things about what you should do or what you are thinking about doing or anything like that. And if you have any video suggestions, please leave them in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys in the next one.